Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be covering the Ornstein and Smough boss fight. I think it's Smough. I hear it pronounced a million different ways, but I'm going to go with that today just for consistency. So first things first, there's a summon for this boss fight. It is Solaire. You can see him right here, right next to the bonfire. If you do want to summon him, I believe you have to talk to him, but you can just kind of skip through all this dialogue if you want to. And then he'll be there for you. Doesn't really have much to say, but I would recommend kindling this bonfire, to be honest with you. I'm not going to right now just because I have 9 left over, but let's get on with it. So really only one enemy you actually have to fight on the way there, and you still really don't need to, but I'm just going to. Oh wow, what a turn. So these are Silver Knights. They're very similar to Black Knights in that they're a massive headache to deal with. They're pretty feisty, they have quite a bit of health, and yeah, you get the idea. Now, there is a shortcut I like to take to get here. It is right here. So if you run and then jump, I completely missed, but you're supposed to land on that bridge there. Pretty easy to do, honestly. Like I said, you don't have to kill that Silver Knight there if you are really comfortable with this jump and you can get it on the first try. There we go. Otherwise, he is going to be kind of a headache. Now, from this point forward, there is actually another shortcut right here. I'm not going to show you that right now, but right underneath me, you can sort of see it, I guess. There's a door down there that you can open, and that will take you right behind where we just killed that Silver Knight. And those chests, by the way, are Silver Knight armor, so if you're into that kind of thing, there you go. Now, moving on, the boss is actually in this room here. So, well, not in this room, but the boss fog's right there. Now, in this room, you'll see two, I believe they're called sentinels. There's one right there, and there's one right down there. Now, across the way, there's also a Silver Knight archer. If you are at this point in the game, you know exactly what a Silver Knight archer is, and you probably hate them. And one last thing in this room to point out, right over here, down this way, this is more kind of like hidden than I remember, but down these stairs is the giant blacksmith. He is another, probably the first blacksmith you met after Andre, and he can upgrade your weapons even farther. He has a special few qualities about him. He sells some better Titanite rather than just the regular Titanite shards that Andre sells, and he can also make boss weapons for you. So very nice. Now, for this boss fight, for the first one, as usual, I'm not going to get the summon. I'm going to show you how to do it solo. And honestly, for the first run, I would actually recommend, I can't believe this guy's not shooting at me. I would actually recommend not being human yet, because I like to kind of play around with the boss when I first go in there and get a feel for how to dodge their moves and everything. Now, you'll see why that is so important as we go in here. There's actually 2 bosses we need to deal with at the same time, so I would get a feel for how you're going to do it, get a nice strategy in place, and then go back in human form with the summon if you want to. That way you don't waste as much humanity on the first try, because if you go in there blind, you're not going to know what any of the attacks are, and it's going to be kind of difficult for you. But I'd recommend just running past these guys. They are very tough enemies. They have a lot of health, and they hit very hard. But here we go. So you can actually get both of these bosses' armor and weapons, but you can only get the armor and weapon of the second one that you kill. So whichever one that you find to be the least attractive, kill that one first. Ornstein will 99% of the time do that lunge thing across the room at you right as you get in there, so watch out for that. So basically what you want to do is try to keep both of them on screen right in front of you at all times, because if you don't know where one of them is, that can serve to be very problematic. Ornstein is the weaker of the two health wise in this stage, Ow. So I feel that he is the easiest to kill first. The second one that you kill is actually going to become stronger in the second stage of the boss fight. So I would leave the one that you find easiest to dodge their attacks to kill second. So I'm just going to kind of kite these guys around for a second here and let you get a feel for most of their attacks. Smough, as you can clearly see, is much slower, both to move and to attack, although as you might expect with that massive hammer, he does hit pretty damn hard. He also really doesn't have any ranged attacks, which Ornstein does, both with projectiles and being able to launch himself across the room. That also, like, he'll do these crazy, like, there you go, there's the projectile. When they both attack like that at once, there's really not a lot you can do. You can use these pillars as cover pretty easily. So, hopefully you're getting a pretty decent idea of what this boss fight kind of looks like, what their moves are. I do recommend, honestly, killing Ornstein first, because Smough I find to be a lot easier to dodge. But like I said, personal preference, save the one you find easier for last. There you go. You can see I just took a big chunk of Ornstein's health out. So he's really not too difficult at this point. I do have a pretty powerful weapon, but still. Also, if you get around 4, maybe 500 damage off in quick succession, you will be able to stun Ornstein pretty easily. This is kind of a slow weapon, so I'm not able to get multiple hits off at this time. Also, since I'm getting him low, this is a good time to mention, I think you can also use, yeah, you can use the pillars to block the lightning. Just wanted to make sure before I went and told you that. You want to kill, you see him dodging midair, you want to kill them down at this end of the boss arena. And I'll show you why in just a moment. So there you go, Ornstein falls. Get a nice little cutscene here. You can see his fingers moving a little bit, meaning he's not dead, but Smough really does not care. So he's going to absorb the power of the other one, and no matter which one you kill, the second one is going to be all lightning charged like this. They're going to get a full recovery. There you go. That's why we want to kill them on... They're always going to spawn in the same spot for the second phase. So that's why I recommend killing them down here by the fog. That way you have a little time to heal up if you need to, some room to breathe, and you don't have to hop right into it. Like if I killed him down here, he would have been right on top of me. But anyways, both of them will become lightning charged. They'll get bigger, especially Ornstein. He just becomes massive. And their moveset is largely the same, with one exception that we will most certainly see in this boss fight. It is a supercharged lightning booty slam. Pretty sure that's what the wiki calls it. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't actually read it, but as you can see though, Smough's pretty easy to read. His attacks are pretty slow. That second attack, a lot of times right there, that second swing, he'll swing over your head. So if you dodge the first one, I kind of recommend getting in close. There's always some RNG with that. That one, just get away, back up, or to the side, get a nice little damage in. Again, 500 damage in quick succession, and you will be able to stun him. So if I do 2 swings, there you go. It actually took 3 because he had some hyper armor with his swing. There's a slam. It's got quite a bit of range to it. If you get stuck directly underneath it, do not just start panic rolling. Time it. You will be able to roll through it even if you're right underneath him with invincibility frames. So just be careful. Not locking on actually does help with that a lot, because sometimes when he jumps up, your camera goes kind of crazy. Getting to the end of this boss fight here. It is pretty easy to see coming too. And you're probably not like right all up in all up in his business anyways, so you should have time to get away from that. Let's see if I can bait out the shovel attack again. He kind of just drags his hammer towards you. Because that one is like his most ranged attack. He can hit you from the farthest away. But you can use these pillars to keep him on the other side of it. And he can't hit you through the pillar, obviously. You see his hammer going over there. But he can't actually advance on you if you're on the other side of it. So use that to your advantage in both stages of the fight, especially the first one. If you can keep one of the bosses on the other side of a pillar, see, he's completely just lost right now. He can't do anything. I really cannot seem to get him to do this attack. He did it earlier, I'm sure you saw it, and if you fight him, you'll see it. But he literally just puts his hammer down in front of him and just kind of runs at you. But he just wants to smash me really badly. Basically, there you go. So that one, you just kind of run away from. You can roll back if you want to. He'll follow you for a bit. But that one, of course I didn't do it when I finally got him to do the attack. But you can block it with a pillar. So that's the last thing I wanted to point out. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up. Sorry, buddy. There you go. You get the Soul of Smough. Now, with Ornstein, you get the Soul of Ornstein, obviously, but you also get something called the Leo Ring. Now, I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that it was the Moonlight Butterfly video. I showed you where to get the Wolf Ring, and that was one of the rings of the 4 Knights of Gwyn. A couple of just cool like lore things here. The walkthrough's over, by the way, so if you don't care about what I say, you can leave now. But that's a statue of Gwyn right there. He's got an army of Silver Knights. The Black Knights are actually Silver Knights that were burned, and I think they're all dead actually too. Their souls are just kind of wandering around. If you read, actually I think it might be in the description of this. Nope, it's not. I don't know how I know that, but I know it. Anyways, Ornstein is actually one of the 4 Knights of Gwyn. So you'll get his ring, the Leo Ring. What it does is it greatly increases counterattack damage on thrust weapons. Thrust weapons obviously being anything that pokes people, like a spear like that he had, or a rapier, spears of any kind, by the way. Even weapons that have thrust attacks like the claymore, you have that two-handed, or not two-handed, one-handed heavy poke that actually counts as well. So what a counterattack is when you hit something while they're attacking. So like with that last hit on Smough, he was mid-swing and I hit him, so it actually did bonus damage. I would have killed him anyways just because of the DPS I had, but counterattacks very, very useful, especially if you're going PvPing. If you have a thrust weapon, I'd recommend using that Leo Ring. Now, up here you will find a bonfire. I'm actually going to save the next step of this for another video because after this it can be a little unclear what you're supposed to do. However, I am going to go down and visit the giant blacksmith and one other place just to show off some new things. So at this point you can actually go through these double doors that are next to me right by this bonfire and talk to an NPC in that room, and she will give you an item called the Lord Vessel, which will allow you to teleport between bonfires. I'd recommend doing that right now before anything else because that is very, very handy. I'm not actually going to show you that in this video because it pertains to something that I will be covering in my next video that should be uploaded very soon after this one, so stay tuned for that. So I wanted to show you the giant blacksmith real quick in this video because he can actually make boss weapons for you. Now, I don't have any weapons right now that are prepped to be able to be made into a boss weapon, but I wanted to explain it real quick. Now, if you go to the Dark Souls wiki and look up all of the boss souls, it'll give you a list of every single one in the game, every single soul that a boss can drop, and if you click on any one of those, it will tell you what you can actually make with that soul. Now, the basic idea is that you take a +10 weapon that is the same weapon type as the boss weapon that you were trying to make. So, for instance, one of the first weapons you can get is the Quelaag Fury Sword. I say first weapons because Quelaag's one of the first boss souls that you actually get. Now, her sword is actually a curved sword, so if you have a scimitar or a falchion, anything like that that is a curved sword weapon type, you can get that to +10 using Titanite shards and large Titanite shards, and then bring it here along with the soul of Quelaag. If you use the soul to get, you know, however many souls it is, like 12,000 or something, obviously you won't be able to do this. But if you have both in your inventory, you can go to the giant blacksmith, click modify weapon, and there will be an option to turn your curved sword +10 into a Quelaag Fury sword. That's the basic idea. I have been saving up all my boss souls, so eventually I will try to make a video on as many different weapons as I possibly can. For each one, obviously I have to get a weapon up to +10, so it will take quite a while to do that, but I wanted you guys to be aware of that right now. So the other thing is actually located in Firelink Shrine. You can actually see from here, there's a guy on the bottom of the bridge, so if you make your way over there, kill a couple hollows, hop onto the bridge, and make your way down to the end of it, you can actually talk to him. And if you remember, we actually met this guy down in the depths after the Gaping Dragon. He was right by the door to Blighttown, and I mentioned there that you could actually purchase boss armor from him. Now, we didn't have any bosses under our belt yet that actually had any armor that we could buy, but we do have a couple now. So if we go to purchase an item from him, we can still of course get his armor set, but we can also get the Iron Golem set and Smough's set. I mentioned earlier that you can get the armor and weapon of whichever boss you kill second. I think that Ornstein's armor is one of the coolest sets in the game, so I do prefer to kill Ornstein second most of the time, but I do feel that it's a bit more difficult to kill the supercharged version of Ornstein, so that's why I showed you Smough in this guide. But that is about it, guys, so thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you, and I will be continuing the boss guides right after this. So until next time, guys, have a good one.